Hello, everyone. Welcome to Kudlow. I'm Larry Kudlow. Well, there was no let-up in today's CPI inflation report. Let's start with that. Gasoline prices came down in April, but they bobbed back up in May. Overall, the CPI came in at 8.3% year on year, still the fastest pace in nearly 40 years. Not good. In the companion report, by the way, real worker wages continued to decline. By the way, over the past 3 months, the CPI increased nearly 10% at an annual rate. And when the 3-month change is faster than the 12 months, that's a warning sign for future inflation trends. Some of the other lowlights in today's report: food prices up 0.9 in April, 12% over the past 3 months, 9.5% over the past year. Services prices are booming 8% over the past 3 months. Those include rising rents. Electricity prices up 11% over the past year. My point is that the virulent inflation we are experiencing is not just limited to a few components surrounding energy. These are broad-based, all across the board price hikes. In fact, from Wall Street economist Conrad DeQuatros, of 95 categories that cover nearly the entire CPI index, 2/3 of them are rising faster than 6%. So look, blaming Vladimir Putin or a pandemic that hasn't been an economic problem in just about a year, or blaming successful businesses or rich people or poultry companies or ultra MAGA or Senator Rick Scott, all that just utterly fails the smell test. And that there's Joe Biden's big problem. And he goes on to say yesterday that federal spending is not the problem, really. The trouble with that is almost no one in the country agrees with that, and it defies common sense. He's already spent over $3 trillion in his first year. Now he still wants to spend more: child care, elder care, Obamacare, electric vehicle purchases, farmers, home building, green energy subsidies for windmills and solar panels. It wouldn't be a real Biden speech if we didn't have even more money for the Green New Deal, would it? But the inflation reality is that it's here to stay. It's going to last several more years, and it may well get worse before it gets any better. Mr. Biden won't stop spending. His White House won't let up on the most restrictive environmental review and permitting policies in history. So not only is he going to keep feeding more excess cash into the economy, but he's going to continue to thwart oil and gas production, LNG exports, pipelines, even roads, bridges, and highways. Even wind turbines and solar projects won't meet the new NEPA permitting restrictions. So think of it this way. Joe Biden wants to keep injecting more cash to increase more demand across the economy. And at the same time, he is restricting more production of goods and services. In other words, less supply. Not only environmental restrictions, but he still wants to raise taxes, right? 36 tax hikes, 11 aimed at fossil fuel companies alone. So what we have: rising demand chasing shrinking supply, which causes higher prices and leads to inflation. But there's one more crucial piece to this puzzle: the Federal Reserve, which bought Biden's deficit spending and borrowing. It bought it, and it monetized the fiscal rampage, just kept printing money. The Fed says they've changed their policies, but there's no real evidence of that yet, just talk. Traditionally, curbing inflation requires a Fed target rate that lands above the inflation rate. Right now, the target rate is under 1%. And even with a couple of half-point increases, it's still going to be way below inflation. And the Fed is not taking out excess cash from the economy. They're not shrinking their balance sheet, the so-called monetary base. They have not taken away the punch bowl. So these are the problems. But you know what's an even more important big-picture point here? We are witnessing the collapse of the radical progressive agenda, what Newt Gingrich calls big government socialism. In some places, it's called modern monetary theory. Uncle Sam can spend as much as he wants. The Fed can print as much as they want. The central planners can regulate as much as they want. And we'll all live happily ever after. But that live happily ever after part is not coming true. The public is in full rebellion. The progressive agenda has delivered inflation, but not the goods and real worker wages. Modern monetary theory is in full retreat. Biden's economic performance is upside down by something like 2 to 1 against him, and he still won't change. No new staff, no new policies. He's just out there stonewalling. He's blaming Vladimir Putin and something called Ultra MAGA. Uncle Joe, you need to do something different. But since you won't, the voters are going to do it for you. Yes, folks, the cavalry is coming.